one of your TED Talks, you had said something that really resonated. When you give yourself permission, you become unstoppable. So it's really like, who are we waiting for? We're in our own way.
We give ourselves that permission and we realize that the power to change our lives, the power to create the life that we want, the power to create opportunities, that actually lies within us. When we realize and unlock that power, we do become unstoppable.
And I want to ask you, traditionally, you come from a South Asian background, similar to my background. And in our culture, we're taught to be obedient, be subservient, listen to our elders, respect our elders. So often when you're trying to change, as you mentioned, you're trying to break the status quo, your immediate family members, your friends are the ones that are resisting you. So how can people learn to be their own heroes, find their courage and work on their own inner confidence through that process?
I think it takes a journey. It doesn't happen overnight. It certainly took me many years to get out of that mindset because, again, I grew up in a culture where women, especially, and girls are taught to be subservient, obedient. You mute your voice. You're just not supposed to be too outspoken. You get enough of an education that it lands you a good marriage proposal, but not too much. Otherwise, if you're out educating men or out earning men, then no one would want you. Everything is geared towards that ultimate purpose of a woman's life, which is marriage. And then on top of that, the decisions that I made in my life, walking away from my marriage, walking away from abuse, speaking up about it and sharing my story, it certainly earned me my fair share, more than my fair share of backlash as well, because I had gone against the norm. And whenever you go against the norm, you are bound to be in many ways scapegoated. So certainly that happened. But I think somewhere in those years, I realized that I would rather earn the wrath of those people and be true to myself instead of fitting into a box that was prescribed for me just so that I could feel included and accepted. It was a very conscious, but also a subconscious choice. I think I'd always been outspoken and I'd always wanted to, in deep down, fit in. I don't want to be the black sheep, but at the same time, I realized that the views that I have, and if I'm going to be acting on those views and intuitions and actions, like for example, I was married, I was a mother of 2 children, but I didn't want to give up on my education. And my ex-husband would say things like, why are you so abnormal? Why can't you be a normal woman? Look at his wife, look at his wife, look at his wife. All of them are happy being at home. And why do you have to go on and on about school and stuff like that? And for some time, I even tried to subdue and to forget about my school ambitions and be a good wife, and hence the name of my book, and be that person who fits into the box of acceptance. I tried, but it didn't work. I was miserable. I was so incomplete and restless and stifled. I felt like I was suffocated inside of me. The voice in my head, as much as I would try to shut it down, it would just become louder and louder and louder. No, don't give up. If I give up on my dreams, then who will fight for them? If I don't fight for them, then who will? It was this internal sort of battle that was always going on. And I realized that, okay, I have a choice now. I could just over time practice just silencing that voice and keep going, or I could act on it. And yes, it would not go down well. And for some time, I even tried to convince people around me, but I realized that was also no use. They're not going to understand what I'm saying because that's their reality and they don't have that mindset. So I realized that I can't stay in there and still be true to myself. So it's a choice. You either become true to yourself and you're like, you know what, whoever walks out of my life, the door's wide open, go away, right? Or you just conform. And to me, that was worse than death. To me, that was worse than anything. I was like, if there's even a 1% chance that I could live a life that is authentic and free, then I'm going to take that chance. So I was terrified of leaving. I was terrified of walking away. I was terrified of so many decisions that I made, but I still made them because staying was more terrifying. And that's the metric that all of us have is like, yes, leaving is scary, but then when the status quo becomes even more scary than the change, that's when you make the change.
Right. And as you mentioned, it's always a choice, even though sometimes we feel like we don't have one.
It's always a choice. There's always a solution. There's always some way. You just need to find it. You need to create it sometimes. It's like being locked in a cell and all you've got is a teaspoon. But even that can be slowly dig away and chip away, like your cave tunnel.
Yeah, it reminds me of the quote, when you know your why, you'll find your how. Right?
I love it. And something that I often say is like, follow your heart and your brain will find a way.